I'm gonna call the meeting to order, May 26th, Lunenburg Water District. This meeting's being recorded for rebroadcast on Lunenburg Public Access. I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes of May 12th, 2021.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of May 12th, 2021. So moved.
Well, I thought we were gonna,
Discuss it?
no, we changed that. All right, so moved.
So okay. All those in
That's what we
favor?
talked about.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hey, I'm only going by what you guys say.
Boy, you're probably getting dementia.
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
Comedian. Mark, TV's on, Mark Henry's the comedian.
Okay, next we have discuss and review new legal counsel proposals for the district.
So I found two more. We still have the other two that Lisa had found, and I found two more. I called around to probably a dozen different towns around.
Water
And-
districts?
Yep, water districts, and majority of them used KP Law, which used to be Copeland and Page. So I called them, they gave me a proposal, and then Templeton and Littleton, I believed, used Doucette and Associates. And so I spoke to both of them. Doucette came highly recommended, and I actually ended up speaking to him for probably a good 20 minutes. And I got a really great first impression by him. I think he would be definite one to come in and talk. KP Law, I got a mix from them. The biggest thing I heard from a couple other districts was sometimes they're hard to get in touch with. Sometimes when they need things, they're a big firm. They're, I believe, they're out of Boston. But when I spoke to, I think it was Westminster, he highly spoke of him, but gave me a guy's specific number. So I didn't call the actual firm, I called this guy he recommended, spoke directly with him, and when he sent me the proposal, part of his proposal is that he would be our attorney with a backup one if we ever needed it. So it sounded like his proposal going through, it sounded like we would have more tailored from them. So I don't know if for the next meeting, if you guys want me to work on having some of them come in and talk. Price wise, Doucette gave me a price of $300 an hour. For him, $250 if he had his associate doing it, nothing if it was administrative staff, and that includes postage, copying, mileage, all that kind of stuff. KP Law gave me a price of $235, and I think there was a few other things in here, but their main bid price was $235 an hour. So I kind of went over it with both of them, what we would be using them for, mainly annual stuff, like if you guys ever had questions, ran over the stuff that just happened a while ago.
Is it all hourly?
They both said
Oh,
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so there's no retainer
No.
up front and?
No, these two, I did not speak to the other one, Pusateri, I forget Vincent Pusateri, I think his name was. I didn't speak to him and I didn't get prices from him, so I'll have to call and follow up with him if you want. But these two told me, no, they don't do any type of packages, they just do hourly.
Because really, in the course of a year, I mean, we don't use a attorney that much, right?
Right, every year's different, but typically it's not a whole lot of time.
Maybe what, 30, 40 hours at the
I don't
most?
even think that.
I mean, what's
It could be 5 hours.
What do you think the annual meeting requires?
That's probably a half hour. We do all the articles up, we send them in.
So it's just him
and
showing up
He
and,
just reviews it, tweaks some
Doesn't
words,
even
some
have
legal
to,
terms.
doesn't even have to show up to the annual meeting, does he?
Typically they do,
Okay.
they are.
so we could save some money.
So I think one of the things we should maybe put together is a list of what our attorney does now, or his responsibilities now,
Okay?
so that we could get an idea of asking them how many, hey, we have these events we require you to be at and review the documentation. What do you think it would take for time for your firm to do to do this for us? And if
Yep.
we could, if they all got the same thing, then, you know, that would be one way.
Yep,
And then, definitely getting them to come in and talk with us, and I think we should even throw a couple, we should probably four?
well, we do have, I
I mean,
have
you have
four.
like, you have four.
I have four. One of them we did not see really had any municipal experience.
All right, well,
One, it seems he may have some, and then these were the two kind of bigger guys. But these two, I also don't have prices for them yet either. I gotta follow up.
How
with
big of a firm is that Doucette?
them. I'm not sure. He
Where are they
is,
located?
Oxford.
Oxford.
I believe he is the owner of it. It's his practice, Doucette and LaRose.
And who'd you say, Christie, he represented?
He does Templeton and Littleton, I believe it was. Doucette. Templeton, Littleton, and he said he did represent Sudbury, and he kind of had a backstory to it. I guess there was some internal, something that happened internally. So he said,
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know, I did represent other ones. He said he does a lot with, primary with like electric, but he, in speaking to him, he was very familiar with districts, with working with commissioners, with working not just town, people, and working, you know, helping you guys on your side as commissioners to know what you guys would have to do legally.
okay. Maybe even as part of some of those questions, you said you did review the stuff that we've recently had to deal with? Would-
Not so much with this, with KP,
Yeah.
but I did with Doucette. I spoke on the phone with him for a little bit and kind of just said, you know, typically we don't really need a lot. I said this year it kind of came present because of this project and this is kind of what happened. And that's when he kind of talked about being available to you as commissioners. And I said, well, that's very important because that came down to it of them trying to figure out how legally for them to go about this. So that's what kind of impressed me was his take on what he would have done.
Okay. I don't know about you guys, but my thought is that we all kind of throw some questions down on a piece of paper so that we can come meet with these
We got something to
different
ask him.
guys. We have stuff to ask them, and it's all stuff that we wanna know. And we're
Yep.
not waiting until we actually sit down with them to ask the
Yeah.
questions.
And I can try to, Brandon, I can try to go through things, what he's worked with Richard before, and then we can put together something ahead of time to,
Yep,
Didn't the town at one time have Copeland and Page?
Yes.
They were
Yep.
some kind of a,
they weren't, well, they
Happy
don't
with it.
now.
yeah,
no, they weren't
So-
happy about something,
Right.
yeah.
But that could be based on who they had, who their rep was as
Yeah.
well. So it'd be worth doing a little digging on that.
Okay,
So, yeah, the Coleman and Page, or KP, whatever they call it now.
yeah,
When I was on the board in Townsend, that's who they had as well. But, and every time you did work with them, it wasn't necessarily the same person. It was
Got a
difficult
different
because
guy.
you, different thing, and even with, when we were working with Lancaster, we would have different people, and it was getting very difficult. So then they actually gave us a specific person, so we could, you know, work it. You can move ahead when you know, interact with each other long enough time, so.
I think that's what kind of changed it too, was reading on his page, cause that seemed to be, their downfall in speaking to other towns, was that sometimes they were hard to get a hold of, sometimes it was hard to get things. And with this, it sounded like he would be our main contact, and that could be something that we'll follow up on, you know, that if we were to hire you, it's you.
Yeah.
You're the one who's handling this, we're not gonna get passed around to 10 people and not
Right.
be able to reach you and.
Yep,
So Richard was supposed to attend the meeting and discuss, you know, stuff, because he, I don't know if it was something you guys agreed with, or you, when you spoke to him about, you know, it's time to move on. He says June 30th is, he's done, so.
I didn't expect that quick, but,
So we gotta, I'm sure he won't bail on us.
Right.
Yeah,
But anyway, so he said his time's up, so he's ready to move on, so.
I think we should discuss maybe, doing something to keep him on for another term for the year. At least until the annual meeting, even as a consultant, if he'd be willing to, cause when I talked to him, I thought he was agreeable to being available.
Well,
you
I
know.
don't know if there's any kind of agreement that we need to come up with him.
Yep.
I think he's gonna help us, you know, as for doing like annual meetings and stuff, that we're no different than the town or any
Right.
other town or water district, it's all articles and making the motion, and so
So
that's
then,
pretty.
how many meetings we have in June? One?
So we have 2 in June, 1 in July. So that's what I was gonna ask, what you guys want to try to push for.
Maybe get them in a couple of weeks if
I
we
would
can.
say, I would
I can
say
make calls tomorrow and try to line them up for the
one of
first
the two,
meeting in June.
one of the 2 meetings,
Okay.
yeah, and then we should, discuss and consider some sort of a decision if we feel comfortable
Okay,
with any of them.
Yeah, so you could listen to them all at that meeting and decide it after they all left, discuss it,
yep,
Yep,
and make a
or
decision.
if they couldn't make it the first meeting and we're at the second meeting, I would think they'd all wanna make it to the first meeting.
yeah.
I would assume.
What, if I'm gonna be making calls and lining this up, what time-wise would you like to give each of them? Like, I'm just trying to think, if I tell one 5 o'clock, am I telling the next one 6 o'clock, am I telling him
I think,
5 o'clock?
okay, so
Half hour.
half-hour intervals,
Okay,
starting at
4 o'clock,
4 o'clock,
okay,
half hour to 45 minutes.
Do you think we need to bring these guys in that don't have any municipal experience?
I think, if they with the one, I don't think we need to bring, if.
I kinda like that Doucette and then the other one that was,
I would,
So Doucette, KP
these,
Law-
those 3, I actually.
yeah, that's what I
All
was
right.
thinking was these ones. This one really did not seem to have,
he's the one that didn't get back to you that quick?
I think
No.
that was, one of them Lisa said was very hard to get in touch with, and I think it was this one,
And it's him, and that's it, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we need a little bit of backup or
Yeah.
somebody that can do some legwork for
Okay,
him.
so that's what, alright, so I'll focus on these 3 here, and trying to get them lined up for
Yep,
June.
and if you get
And
anybody in the meantime, add them to the list. If
Okay.
there's somebody that comes in that you and superintendent feel comfortable with, I would add them to the list.
Okay,
And then we'll either make our decision at that meeting, or we'll give it time to sink in, and hopefully by the June 30th, or before June 30th,
Yeah.
we'll
Get them on
have
board.
somebody.
okay,
Okay,
alright,
anything else on that?
Now, we'll discuss attorneys on the public comment, we'll go back into them a little bit, but
Okay.
Okay. Nothing,
nothing with any of those guys, just the
okay,
development thing.
okay. Discuss Gatsby Grounds installing water line to fill hydro seeder.
Okay, so they called, and it's the old Souza garage, there's a 6-inch line going in there, and it goes down to a 3/4-inch meter. So he was questioning if he could put in a hydrant or a bigger size line to fill his hydro seeders. I did mention that we have ability here, but he preferred to have it at his place and use this as a backup, which I understood. So the question was, and we talked about different things, I didn't really like the idea of a hydrant. I don't know, you can cause a lot of problems with a hydrant if you don't use them correctly. So I said, what I would suggest is we do just a water line that comes out of the ground, we put in a meter, just like we have at the other old garage, and what we're gonna do here. And it's just a warm weather thing, so winter time starts
Right.
coming in, we take it out, pump it out, and we're good to go. So the question came up was the connection fees. So a 1-inch connection fee is 4,000, a 2-inch is 15,000. So I didn't know, he,
He'd be looking at a 2-inch?
well, I was thinking he seemed okay with a 2-inch, but you know, 1.5 inches is probably adequate for what he needs. 'Cause 1.5 inches can flow quite a bit of water, so I think that's enough water for what he needs, so. We don't have 1.5 inches as a connection fee, so that's why I was questioning you guys, do you wanna add 1.5 inches, or if you wanna just stick with the 2-inch? So typically when the connection fees, if you ran a 6-inch line into your building, you don't pay a 6-inch connection fee, and because typically it goes down to the meter size. So on the 6-inch line, you put a 3/4-inch meter, so that's all you get for water is a 3/4-inch meter. So that's a $4,000 connection fee, which is the same as a 1-inch connection.
And he has existing water there now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6-inch line, Solzic ran in there, so he would just tie on the line, he'll hire Bobby Proctor, or he mentioned a couple people, and, tap the main, run it to a, just elbow it up, come out of the ground, and put a meter, so,
So what's the 2-inch connection fee?
15,000,
What's the 1-inch connection fee?
4,000.
But he already has water there.
Yeah, but it still doesn't, once you, even if you, well, I mean, how do you,
So you could, I mean, he's keeping his existing water line, cause he has his little bathroom and stuff, so what's in it, I guess that difficult to heat area, so he was looking at doing something different, separate from that, so he wants to leave that and do something different. If he used that, then we could say, all right, we already got a, 1-inch connection fee, and you wanna make it larger to 2-inch, maybe just pay the difference. But he wants a whole separate thing, so he needs a whole connection fee.
It's a tough one, right?
Is that what he was supposed to be here for?
no.
No, he wasn't supposed to.
So,
I thought he's on the agenda.
the additional
Just
meters,
For us to
Just
talk
this.
about it.
Oh,
if we
I thought
have-
he was coming in.
like Emerald Place, so you go in and they have separate meters for their irrigation system. Is that a separate connection fee? They paid for
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay. So if, I understand what he's trying to do there, he doesn't wanna play with it, change it at all, with what he has existing. But I would think that he's already paid in to a connection fee to a certain size. I would think if he wanted to upgrade that if he paid the difference,
Okay.
it would be my thought, because if he really wanted to, he could just put a separate meter, he could run it all through the one meter.
He could, right.
So there's really, they've already paid the connection fee for what does he have now, a 3/4 or 1-inch?
Yeah, we do 1-inch connection fees, so if it's a 3/4 or 1, it's the same fee, so.
So
So he's got a 1-inch.
I don't know where you guys are, if you think it's worth, if you were from a 1-inch to a 2-inch and you did a 1.5-inch, wouldn't it make sense to be in the middle
Yeah.
for a 1.5-inch? And then if he's already got a 1-inch fee, then he just needs to pay
It's
the,
gonna come up the same dollar. I mean, the amount of money would be the same, because if I did an 1.5-inch connection fee, it'd be like 9,000, so.
right. So if you did it, well, so a 2-inch is,
15,
so a 1-inch would be 4.
so you got 11,000, so 4,500, I'm sorry, 5,500, so 9,500 would be the connection fee for 1.5 inches. So
I'm
he's-
having a hard time wrapping my head around it, that he's already got a water service there.
He's already got a water service, but it's just small.
Not enough flow.
And if
Yeah,
you're
but
adding another meter, and
So is he
he
gonna
just
have to
doesn't
tap
want,
the main to get a bigger?
yes.
Okay, he's gonna have to tap the main.
Yes.
All right.
The main in his yard.
So
Well,
he's
he was
just
saying that though-
basically, he's upgrading his service. Do we have any historical where we've allowed somebody to upgrade their service? What'd we do didn't Whalen Wash upgrade their service?
No, they stayed the same size.
Okay.
If they did upgrade, they were gonna pay the difference.
They were gonna pay the difference. So
Yes.
we agreed on before that if they were gonna upgrade their service from what it currently is, that we would just make them pay the difference.
Correct.
So we have the precedence, there's no real difference.
Right. So the only difference between this place is he's not upgrading that service. He's putting in a whole new one.
On his,
That
would
would still
on his
stand
own
there.
property?
Right,
Yes.
but if he eliminated that service, then that would be going towards it,
Yes.
anyway.
Yeah.
And the only reason he's leaving that service in, he doesn't wanna try to hook that into the same,
No, he wanted a whole separate one.
So he's got a 6-inch main coming into the property right now?
yes.
Correct.
He wants to upgrade to an
Didn't
inch
they,
and a half
didn't they,
service.
didn't they pay a fee for that when that was put in?
No. No, it all goes by what you tapped off it, what your
Okay.
actual feed is into the building.
Yeah, they didn't pay a fee for the 6-inch, they just paid for the water that they use in the building.
And,
All right.
and back then too, they probably didn't even have connection fees out there. I
Right.
don't even know. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess where it's a whole new service, that kinda changes things. if he wanted to do a connection and then do away with his, he can't do away with that other meter because he's still gonna keep that in the winter time.
Right,
Well, he's gonna make a new tap no matter what, so if he does a 1 inch, it's 4,000.
Yeah,
If it's an inch and a half, or if it's a 2 inch, it's 15, so put it down the middle, cause he's already paid one connection fee, I feel.
well, the thing is, once you have two services into a structure, it's two separate connection fees.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we determined by talking about the way at Emerald Place, they have, you know, a meter for the residents, or a connection for the residents, and then they have a separate connection that is just for the irrigation, they paid two connection fees for that.
Why are we gonna let him do an inch and a half?
he just, well, the whole thing started is the board okay with him tying onto the line? I said, I'll bring it up to him, so that's what how this
Yep.
all came up.
Yeah.
And then we just started talking the connection fees, and I told him the 15,000, which who would, kinda like, wow, that's a lot of money, and
Yeah.
that's where it went, so.
Yeah.
So then we just started talking, how much water does he actually need, and then it was more on the size of the flow he needs from an inch and a half line. And that's just kinda led it to,
Right.
you guys interested in an inch and a half kinda connection fee, and if not, it's the 2 inch, that's fine. So it's not a big deal, so if he does a 2 inch connection fee, he's good. If he ever wants to feed two hydroseeders, then
Right.
he's good, so, I just thought I'd ask and see if you
Yeah.
guys wanna do something with inch and a
And what
half,
do we get out here? Or we're gonna put out here?
inch and a half.
Inch and a half.
And we have
too.
inch and a half at the garage,
Uh,
or is that 2 inch?
that was 2 inch down to a 1 inch meter.
That's a 1 inch meter at the
Yes.
garage? Wow, that's a lot of flow out of just that.
Those flow like 40 gallons a minute,
Alright, let's decide what we're gonna do here.
so we can leave it at everything as it is. We'll,
I wish I knew, that's why, if he was here, we could, but I guess it doesn't matter, we're
we
gonna,
can pass over and we can come to the next meeting.
well, maybe he wants to get it done before then, let's,
It seemed like it was, just trying to figure stuff
Yeah,
out, so
okay.
I
Down
think
the
it's
road.
something to be done, like next week. I mean, cause once we get this thing up, the meters just came in the other day, yesterday, so we can start putting this thing together.
I think for the money, he's better off to come up here.
Yeah, but what he said is the guys,
Convenience,
when he starts filling that, he says he has jobs then, so they go and do stuff.
yeah.
So if they're here, he says they're just gonna be sitting there doing nothing, so he'd
Right.
prefer to have them over there staying busy.
okay, yeah.
So
that
it
makes
actually,
sense.
it actually made perfect sense,
Yeah.
Well, I would,
So what are we talking, 9,500?
for an inch and a half connection fee, yeah. I mean,
If
that's,
you do that, we'll just add it to our rules and regulations, that's another connection fee. Not a typical one, typically it's 2 inch, so.
I'm
Yeah.
still trying to wrap my head around it, so it's $4,000. Been a long day in the hot sun. $4,000, and then how much for a 2 inch?
15,
1,500.
so you got
So you
11,000.
Split the difference.
So if the difference, even if you, so that would make that 9?
Well, you got
95.
11,000, yeah. No,
95, right?
95, yeah. So you got 11,000 difference, so it's 5,500, you split that in half. So you add the 5,500 to the 4,000, you're at 9,500.
That's what I think we should do.
And then, and if it's in the books, then it's fine, and if he says,
Yeah.
well, I'll just do the 2 inch anyway, then, but he has or anybody has the ability to do the inch and a half.
Yep. Okay, who's making a
So-
motion?
So the next thing on the agenda, because I didn't know what you guys would do, because I was always told that the agenda items had to be specific to what you were doing.
Yep,
So I did an actual agenda item so you guys could vote and modify the connection
Okay.
fees. So that's why I did that next agenda item.
so I would accept the motion that we allow Gatsby Grounds to add a connection
Actually-
to his 6-inch line?
I would take his name out of it.
Okay,
Just add
So
the
we
new
want to add
connection
a
fee.
connection fee to our rules and regulations.
Yep.
For inch and a half in size for the amount of $9,500.
there you go.
So someone says
So
Well, I
moved.
didn't say it, so you said.
I'd accept the motion that we add a connection fee for inch and a half to $9,500.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done. We're getting better at this. Now we're getting to
Wasn't like this when Dave Rogers was here.
Commissioner
He knew all the
Superintendent
protocol.
additions.
Yeah, I know.
Alright, so we got several things coming up. Well, the first one, the biggest one is, Rob. He took another job, so he's gonna be leaving on June 14th. So now
We're gonna be looking for help.
We're gonna be scrambling for, so we'll have to do an ad, full licensed person. The toughest thing's gonna be on-call time. I spoke to Jeff Bingham. Jeff said, we'll give him a little refresher, he can jump in there. Christy said she could go on call, cause no matter, everybody here is under my license, so you don't have to have a license to be on call. But you're not authorized to do any kind of touching of like chemical treatment, any pumps or anything like that. So anyway, so if Christy's on call, something happens, she can be a first responder and I can be second. Cause it's gonna take me a while longer to get here, so she could get the thing going. Jeff, he knows what to do, so he's good to go, because Jerry can't be on call.
24/7.
Why not?
Every weekend, you don't wanna do that?
So,
We're gonna burn them out quick.
so I think, and I don't know if Austin has any, time that he might wanna do
Yeah.
something, so.
I
So
agree.
it's gonna be a scramble for a little while anyway, so.
While we're doing that, maybe it gives us a little time to evaluate what, where we are. Or I think we've done it already, evaluate where guys are pay-wise, but it's getting hard.
The water industry is very competitive now.
Yeah,
Everybody's stealing people from.
everything's very competitive now.
So, and I thought we were very good on pay, but everybody's jumping them up, so.
Well, but it's something, I know we've already set our budget, but definitely something that we have to add to the discussion at this point.
Right, I agree.
Are salaries public though? Can't we go out and find them?
Call, any municipal is public information.
Yeah. We did
So
that.
can you look it up, or would I have to call
You
in?
can call-
Some
you
places
can
are
call 'em.
online.
Some
You can
online,
call 'em,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
we've done it before. We've had
We used to-
evaluations.
We used to always be part of a salary survey, but it kinda fell apart like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I think it's a good thing just to
can-
kinda
I
see
can do
where
that.
we're at.
yeah, so if you call around,
I'll do that.
How's, Ethan doing on licensing and everything?
he has no license, he took the class to
Yeah.
take his license, he's actually out, he had his surgery on
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be out for
How long?
probably a year before he can actually do anything. So, but he can come back to work. I told him, I said, if you're out for 2 or 3 weeks, where you can't do anything, I said, but if you can get out and start coming in and do stuff, we got tons of like paperwork to do. We got new records to draw for, houses and stuff, and so we can keep him really busy.
Okay,
So that, he doesn't need to use a shoulder, he can just, use a pen and,
Yeah.
copy and scan and do stuff like that, so we can put him to work. But the ability for him to go out and, work in a main break or something, is
Limited,
probably
yeah.
9 months out. I don't know the actual number, but, and I don't even know what his, they didn't even know what they were gonna do for surgery, I don't know what they did actually yet. So, if it wasn't as severe or destructive, then, maybe it'd be sooner, but I don't really know that yet.
may be good to just kinda reach out to your subs that we've used in the past, just to make sure that they're still available.
Yeah, so I was thinking like, Josh, I mean, I was gonna talk to Josh, cause he knows the Lunenburg.
Yep.
He worked here for years, so he would be a good, person to turn to if something happened, like say Christie's here and we get a main break, and, cause Josh lives right in Ashby, so he can get here pretty quick. So, so he's a, good asset, like, we got all the guys, got Tandem, Bobby Proctor,
Bobby
a lot
Proctor,
of people,
yeah.
so.
Mhm.
A lot of people that we could start calling on, which we always, in the old days, we always did anyway, so.
Could always put us commissioners on the salary.
Illegal. You can work for free. You
Yeah,
can't get
you
paid.
can go on call for the week for free,
I-
right?
Yeah.
They don't even know where the wells are.
So,
There's more on the public comment too. so.
but to follow up with this, do you guys want me to start working on getting an ad together?
Oh, yeah.
and
I think,
getting
yeah,
this
I
out?
think we gotta do it ASAP, right?
I agree.
I know when we first, when we hired Ethan, we kept, you know, it was more local, we wanted somebody, you know, local, but now that we're going, we want experience, there's other platforms to put this out there on,
I
right?
would, I
Isn't there
think,
like a water, can't you go on, not
Mass
Mass
Water
Waterworks.
Works.
yes,
Yes, I mean, we've put them in there before.
okay,
Before we, yeah, it's one of the things we need to know. Response time was set at 20 minutes. So typically, boundary was the surrounding town, pretty much. Which is difficult because you could live in North Leominster and take you a half hour to get here when you're only half a mile over the line. So that's kind of a tough thing. But typically we would say, you know, within a boundary of the, you know, the
Budding towns.
town, so. This doesn't necessarily have to be the case of who we hire, but it needs to be clear that whoever we do hire has to move as a requirement, preferably in Lunenburg or a budding town. So,
that's gonna limit this a lot though,
yes.
especially now,
See, I don't think that's gonna work.
yeah.
I mean, if
can we, when you check in with salaries on other departments, can we see what they have for response times for their employees? Cause I know that there are some guys that live in Lunenburg and work like Acton, Boxborough, and you know what, at midnight, you're there in 20 minutes.
I agree.
At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, not so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, plus you got a guy who's got a family and his kids are in school, he got a new house, he's
Yeah,
not
he ain't
gonna,
gonna,
he's not gonna move.
not gonna move. So I just
Yeah.
kinda wanna see if there's any wiggle room in that.
There's probably a little bit, but I mean, you got a guy who lives an hour and a half away.
Oh, no, that's definitely
Well,
too
that's
much.
Or even an hour. I mean, that's, you're not on
That's
call.
too much, yeah.
Yep,
So it's something we gotta consider. So I mean, we have two guys that are, you know, equally qualified, and one lives, you know, distance away. We focus on the closer
They're
guys.
closer.
Okay, so
okay,
any more on that one? So we'll get something posted. We'll get working on that.
Sooner the better, I think.
Oh yeah. So the other thing on the agenda is, which Richard wanted to talk about, is the attorney things, is the Kevin O'Brien thing. That's not dead. He hasn't officially filed anything, but he's gonna do a 40B.
Mhm.
So on a 40B, typical town, any kind of zoning or any of that stuff, when you go 40B is gone. Anything the town has is gone. Okay, the only things that stay are required still is mass laws. So conservation, board of health, okay? His intent is for 3 4-story buildings, 200 units, and then single-family homes for the remaining acreage, which was like, I think it was what, 80, over 80 acres for the remaining. So this is where Richard, our attorney, he was gonna come talk to you guys about us hiring a attorney that's familiar with the 40Ds. So I started picking Richard's brain on this stuff, and I think we tie into those, like the Board of Health and the Conservation with mass laws. Mass general laws made those things. You know, the requirements to do conservation, those are mass laws. The Board of Health, it's a mass law. And to me, that's where we fall. So our boundary is a mass law. It's not through any town, not zoning, nothing to do with the town. It's set up by mass law. So to me, in my opinion, our district boundary is a town line. That's our town line. No one, you know, so that was my question to Richard was, so if that's our town line, and he kind of agreed with my mentality. So I said, how can he make us go past our town line? Can he make Townsend feed him water? And he says, no. So how can he make us? That's my big question. And I think I'm right. I don't think he can force us. The sewer to me is a whole different thing, because it's a town bylaw, they created, the town created their district.
But isn't,
bylaw.
that's not the sewer district anyway?
But that's what I'm getting at, the sewer district is a town created district.
Oh, yeah, but how can you go, well, I think it's a big, and like you said, he hasn't filed yet.
Right,
I like you being on the front end of it, but definitely probably one of the questions that we should
that'll
be
be
asking.
for the new guys, that's
Yeah,
what I
new
say,
guy,
bring
yeah.
it back up.
Yeah,
So
that-
that'll be definitely one of the questions.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with 40Bs, and then we're gonna tie into the water district, cause all water districts, when the water districts were created, the Mass General laws are almost identical, they just changed some wording of the streets and the boundaries, but most of them are pretty, very similar. So if they're familiar with districts, then, we should be good, so.
Good.
What else was on the public comment?
Dave.
Besides Dave.
No,
Dave's not
we're still on Commissioner Superintendent additions.
Just kidding, Dave.
I did speak with the neighbor about the drainage. We're gonna monitor, hopefully it will improve. I've spoken with conservation, and mentioned that mosquito control was over there. He would need to meet with them. If there's anything, there is some things they'd be willing to do. I spoke to him prior to speaking to the conservation agent, so I'll follow up again and let him know that, mosquito control was willing to do some things, that he should follow up with them. Other than that, from any town departments, as far as I can tell, that, we have nothing, but I mean, to be a good neighbor, just keep following up to make sure that the condition's improving, or we're not causing it to get any worse, or we're not the
You
cause.
think the crux of the whole thing is the pipe underneath the road being?
I think there's a whole lot. I think there's some issues deeper into that whole thing. I think the fact that the pipe probably
Isn't
didn't
maintained.
flow prior to us starting to do work. The pipe being clogged wasn't our fault.
When we first started, the engineers didn't even know about the pipe because they couldn't find it. It was totally under.
Totally covered,
Totally,
So
right.
no water ever went through the
cross.
Right,
before we got here. So then we went over there and we exposed it, and then the engineers found it, put it on the plan. So then, as time started going on, even though you found the pipe, doesn't mean it's gonna work, cause there was a pile of dirt still after it. So
Right.
the water couldn't go up and over the pile of dirt.
So-
So, that's where we.
yeah, you
found
went
the
over and
cost.
moved the
We
pile
got
of
in
dirt.
trouble, we moved the pile of dirt, so.
Yep. So, it's still something to kind of follow up and watch, that's all.
Okay, so when we talked about doing that connection over, he never
Yeah.
mentioned that, so.
I left it with him that the situation should hopefully improve. And
Whatever
if
we're
it
gonna
doesn't,
do, I'll
then
be
we'll
happy
talk
to do it.
we'll talk again. So,
Sounds like it should be cambered and jetted.
It definitely needs to be, it's got roots all in it, so it really needs to be
yeah,
replaced.
and that might be a state thing,
Mass
so
highway
I don't
thing.
know, yeah, so maybe if you happen to be talking to anybody.
Well, if we see them, if they ever start working down on 280 near Mackey's,
Yep.
we'll see the state guys down there, so once they start going,
Good.
then we'll talk to them. And they better get on that quick, because if I get another broken water main, I'm not gonna be happy.
Yeah, they're not too fast down there, huh?
Something about equipment operators.
Couple months down there.
Yeah,
He said, I don't have, my equipment operator's on another job, and he says, I can't do it without a good equipment operator, so he's kinda held back.
The help thing again.
Yes.
Yeah.
we got anything else, gentlemen, for,
I don't.
No,
nope, all right, we'll, move right along to public comment.
I've got two or three things I'd like to talk to you real quick. One is water quality. I read an article in the Boston Globe on Sunday, and they talked about all of the problems that Massachusetts is having with water quality as close to us as air. And it's initials, 4 initials, PS something or other. something.
PFAS,
Yeah.
PFAS.
Yeah, and I was wondering where we stand.
We've tested all our sites. The state maximum is, which was just lowered to 20 parts per trillion. And most of our wells, I mean, there is some detections, but we're nowhere near the 20. Some are at 4 and some are at 8 for detection levels. So nothing anywhere near the 20. So when I passed all the information on to Mass DEP, they were very happy for what we have for results. So no matter where you go, I think you're gonna find a result. you know, you're not gonna get
Yeah.
0. So as long as you're less than the 20,
Yeah.
you're okay, and then we're less than the 20,
Okay.
on all
My-
sides.
I was hoping that that was the answer I was gonna get, and I thought that we would. I think it would be in the interest of the water district to say that, to come out with a, you know, some kind
We
of.
put it out, it was in,
It should be in our water quality
it
report,
is.
right?
Yep.
Maybe a statement along with it.
Have you put it on email or anything like that, you know?
It should be on Facebook, our water quality report, right?
It's,
we
you know,
have
it's
it?
something
Yeah,
you
so
guys
we'll-
can do. I'm just saying from a public relations standpoint.
Yeah, we could do something.
This was, you know, and
Yeah.
the Globe, and they're talking billions of dollars for this stuff. And Sudbury and
Yeah.
Weston, they just floated a big bill in Webster, so whatever. I thought it was worthy of some public relations, saying,
Sure.
we're on top of this.
Yeah, so we could-
This is the thing.
Yep, we can put actually the results that we
Yeah,
got at each site. So actually, we're gonna start running the Hickory Hills well to waste. So, and that'll be one of the samples we do, cause we're gonna do water quality samples on
Sure.
it anyway, every few years, so.
Yeah.
So we'll do that as
Whatever,
one of these
yeah.
two, so
I
we'll
I
make sure.
just wanted to bring it up to you.
Fran, didn't a woman from DEP contact us about 6 or 8 months ago? Didn't they do a test on that?
We've done several, I mean, that's,
I
maybe, I
thought
think
they-
like 3 of them. We
I
did,
think they did one for us for nothing, didn't they?
yes,
Oh,
the
4.
last 2 rounds that the Mass DEP paid for,
Yeah.
there was grants that were given, so they did it, they set up the whole thing, they send us the bottles, they tell them what the, you know, how the sources
Yeah.
work, so they set it all up. But even prior to this, when, you start hearing about this thing, we didn't wait for anybody to tell us to do the samples, we did the samples ourselves, so that if someone did call, cause we actually, this was probably what, 3 or 4 years ago. People call us, hey, you know,
Well, I was
I'm
here,
hearing
yeah, so
about it,
it's-
what's,
yeah,
what is this? And it wasn't right for any of us to say, we don't know.
Right.
So I didn't like that. So we went out and did a full round of samples, and those came back excellent. And then Mass DEP came out and says, you know, because of Fort Devens, you're targeted as a primary first round testing that they're gonna pay for. I'm like, yep, bring it on. So we did it. Those came back good, and then we did another set of rounds, and those came back good. So I think
Yeah, I know
everybody's pretty confident.
Gabe
that
was
we're
saying air is having problems.
good. Oh, I hear a lot more people too. So, yeah, there was a whole list that came out.
There was something just on the news the other
Yes.
day.
They listed it, and the closest one to us was Air, that's why I just,
Right.
you know,
Yep.
Yeah, so there was, I think, six towns that are above
way above.
The
above
20,
that number, and they don't have any other sources to fix it. So a lot of towns, they might have a well that is above that 20 parts per trillion, but they have another well that's not. So if they run the two together and mix it, you drop below the 20. So you can make a safe drinking water.
Yeah.
Some towns don't have that ability, so they have to pump that water. So the stuff is nasty stuff. It's everywhere, and when we take the samples, there's huge requirements that you can't touch this, you can't wear that, you can't have Gore-Tex rain gear, any of that stuff. So I always joke with the guys. I said, you got to get naked to go in and do that stuff. And I'm not
Naked and
kidding.
no
afraid.
deodorant, no
So
nothing.
yeah,
You
no,
can't-
I mean,
you
no
can't-
deodorant
You
either?
can't eat fast food ahead of time, the
fast
rappers
food
have
wrap,
it.
it's everywhere. So
Yep.
Teflon tape.
Yeah.
So what is it?
They call it a forever chemical.
It's not biodegradable.
Yeah, so once it's there forever. So
Oh,
it's,
okay, now I
it's
remember.
a
hearing about that.
polyalkaline, and there's PFAS and PFOS. So everybody calls it, they're PFAS and PFOS. So everybody calls it something different.
Do you remember years ago, there was a big issue, I'm gonna choose my words wisely, okay? In an adjoining town, there was a big manufacturing company, and there was all kinds of problems. I'm just wondering if this is just the tip of the iceberg. So, anyway,
Could
it's
be.
good that you are on top of it, because
Yep.
I think people need to understand that they're in good hands. Get it?
Yep.
Okay. Second comment I wanted to make was with regard to the lawyers. There was a fellow by the name of Doucette, did you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
The way I read, or not read, but interpreted that is that it's he And if he has to call in an associate, you know, it's a $275 or $250.
Right.
Which leads me to believe that it's not a full-time associate or whatever. I mean, this is my considered opinion, that this district needs to have a firm that has more than a sole operator, a sole lawyer, okay? And sometimes, and again, I'm gonna choose my words wisely, sometimes bigger isn't always better. Okay? And the other thing is that everybody has their right to do what they want to do, and whatever they're gonna do is what they're gonna do. But I think it's important now to not necessarily get somebody, an outside consultant for 40Bs, because it's incumbent upon the applicant to satisfy everything else, okay? Maybe sometime, you know, it's very complicated. But the thing that concerns me is that if there's a court case here, that sure we don't right now have much for you know, hourly and that kind of stuff. That could change drastically. And just do the math. I mean, it could go exponentially. So some things have to be set up in advance of any filing to protect you. Okay? And I made my recommendation to you, and who says I'm right? But I'm going to tell you, local stuff, home cooking, is you know, you don't want somebody traveling from you know, 40 miles away here for meetings and all of this other kind of stuff. So, plus there is a whole bunch of opportunity to use local associations and stuff that have done similar projects and that kind of stuff like that. So I think it's very important. And the last thing I want to tell you is that during the time that I've been here, you know, our Bible is the Acts of 1939, right? That's our Bible.
Yeah.
Okay? Most of the things that we have involved ourselves with have been contract law. Towers, this, that, it's all contract kind of stuff. Okay? And anybody worth their salt is, you know, they should be able to do contracts and DEP and that's and municipal law. I mean, it's just, I don't want to oversimplify this thing, but it's just going to a book and finding different stuff, and you know, it's so I don't think that we need you know big operations, but that's a decision that you guys would have to make. The last thing, and I, you know, I just heard it here, you know, this employment situation is, I think you've begun to talk about it, and it's, you know,
It's bad.
It's global, it's everywhere.
I understand that, but all I'm concerned with is the Lunenburg Water District.
Yep.
Okay, and you know, so you understand.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any other public comment? All right, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.